What can I do if my balance is only $100 but I want to earn $1 million on Forex? Sorry, but only scammers give you such requests. However, it is still possible to earn $500 or $1,000 from a small balance. I will show you by my example how I made X7 in just a couple of trades and give you a clear strategy to increase your balance multiplied times. By the way, there are the results of those who copied my trades, so join my account, it is completely free. The link to my social network is in the description. Just write me. Let's start with the basics. There are some things which we need to understand at the level of our DNA, so that there is no question about them at all. The most profitable trades are long-term trend trades. Now I will tell you a few basic things, after which you will be surprised how easy it is sometimes to predict a trend movement. Let's visually draw a trend line of a downtrend movement. Also, let's draw a possible chart that we have most often chasing and touching this trend line. Somehow like this. What do we see here? First of all, the trend line is formed by several tangents, and it is extremely important for us to track such things as maximums and minimums. These are the values by which the trend or direction set. Because if, as we have here, the minimums are constantly updated, becoming lower and lower, then it is obviously a downtrend. The same is true with the maximum values. If they are constantly rising and updating, it means that there is an upward movement in the stock market. So how do we understand at what point another trend appears in the stock market? Because when we already have some history in the form of this fall, it is much easier for us to work with the chart, because we have the main trend line which accompanies our movements. And the key moment appears exactly when the chart breaks and retests this trend line again. The presence of retest tells us that the stock market's trend has changed. Basically, this is all you need to know in order to open some trades today. Because the funny thing is that when we have a counter trend, for example, if we had a falling trend here, the rising trend will happen just immediately fast due to the fact that traders who trade on the downside put their stop losses over these tops. So when we have a growing stock market, these stop losses become additional fuel for our growth. So the most important thing for us is to choose the moment in this area when we realize that we have a retest on the trend line or the crossing of the average color lines. And at that moment we enter the trade with minimum targets nearly about 0.5 on the Fibonacci's level. Now let's look at a specific example with the help of which I managed to make X7 to my deposit in just 2 trades. Well, let's get into practice. We have a 15-minute time frame and a candlestick type of chart, so we need to add 2 indicators to the TradingView right now. The first indicator, which will help us to determine the change of trend, is an indicator which we built on the intersection of moving averages. So we write its name and add the moving average indicator from the chart art author. He has 13,500 users. On this example, we can perfectly see the entry point. And I think that if we draw the Fibonacci's grid here, the chart has just corrected to 0.5 minimum. And as we can see, the chart has also reached the level of 0.618. So now we can either continue to grow or continue to fall. Let's see what movement will be formed here. The downward movement is forming, and after this downward movement we will make a trade. So now we need to understand the main moment of reversal of this trend. While we are under the average moving lines, we do not touch anything at all. We are waiting for either a breakdown of the chart or these moving average lines on the crossing at all. So, my friends, we have a breakout even with a gap. I don't know, maybe this is a TradingView glitch, or maybe it really happens at the code provider, but it is already a good signal to think about entering a trade. So let's turn on the line chart in order to draw a couple of trend lines. As I have already said, we draw them through the major tops. It is not difficult. I think somewhere like this, through the maximum number of touches, we can draw a trend line. And now our task is to wait for its breakdown and retest. We have a great breakdown on this trend line, and also we have it testing. Here we have our entry point, and our task is to open a position on the rise with a clear stop loss and with a clear take profit. But today we will work exclusively from the stop loss, because in order to increase a small balance several times, you need to take the maximum from the trend movement. We have a huge drop here, so the correction can be very good too, and we will try to earn on it. The second tool that we will firstly need to set a stop loss is the Imbalance Zone. This is a great indicator. We also write its name. and edit. You can customize it, disable the last checkbox here, click OK, and we will have a very clear indicator. We put the stop loss behind the fattest imbalance area. It happens that the imbalance area is connected with the gap, so we put our stop loss approximately here. We can also put take profit on the overlap of the nearest fat imbalance zone, but we can't put it here. Although a 1 to 2 trade is quite good, but I will put take profit here at 1 to 4 trade. Will looking amazing. So what do we do next? We watch how our chart develops, so our task is to find at least 2 points through which we can draw a trend line for our upward movement. Now I will show you what exactly I mean. Let's assume that we have formed a bottom and we also draw a trend line through these minimum values. Let's assume that this is one of them. And as long as our chart is above the rising trend line, we stay in the position. And as soon as we break through and retest this trend line, we close the position by ourselves or wait for the stop loss to close it. So now we can either move the stop without any loss, but we will keep in mind that we put the stop for the last local value, which is the chart left on the uptrend. And in this way, we will be able to take the maximum of the uptrend. Because in order to increase a small balance several times, you will need to take almost the maximum that the stock market gives you. Of course, we can reach that minimum target with you, but something tells me that the stock market could go much higher. So it happens right now. We are waiting for the next minimum on the uptrend and moving our stop loss approximately here. Sooner or later it happens that our trade closes. So we could have closed in plus of 1143 points. But due to the move in our stop loss, we close with a profit of 1900 points. I opened this trade with the maximum possible lot for my position. This trade was opened with $100 and brought us $300 profit. The closing price is 47,555. It is somewhere here. I probably just didn't have time to move my stop loss higher on this trade. But even considering that the trade closes here, it's still a great profit, which we were able to take just on the trend change. It turns out that the next asset is also in a downward movement. We draw 2 trend lines. One of them we have already tested. I have marked for myself some horizontal level. In general, we can do without it, but sometimes I also use horizontal level for my convenience. We have a bottom here, we have a clear sideways movement, but in general the breakout plus the retest of this level and these trend lines, which we can make fatter, tells us that it is a time to enter the signal. I think there is a signal somewhere in here. We have 2 lines of the moving average indicator almost crossed each other. Despite the fact that we have grown quite well from our local value, we had a very big downtrend. And the potential for movement can be very big. We can clearly see where to put stop loss and take profit, so we can calmly wait for the walking out of this setup. Basically, at this point, we can move the stop without loss. Then we can move the stop loss approximately for this new minimum value in this uptrend and wait for the formation of the next one. But it happens that right here, the trade have closed. Yes, it is a little bit offensive, but it is also a profitable trade, which brought us 180 pips of profit. And because we already had this trade with an increased lot, and because we made money on the first trade, we add another $334 to our profit and get that $700 earned literally in 2 trades. With a very simple and understandable setup. My friends, don't forget to subscribe to my social networks, to my Telegram channel, where I publish similar trades, and I hope that at least something from this video you will be able to put into practice. Thank you for watching this video. Take Profit team worked on it.